Need Pokemon Go PvP coaching? Well, I'm on Medify, so click the link in the video description and it'll take you right to my page. What is up, guys? I have a very exciting video today. Once again, it is my final push of the season video. These videos usually feature the best teams that I've created over the past season or two, or the team that I feel most comfortable playing. In this case, this is, I think, maybe one of the best teams that I've actually ever created. So before we get into it, huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. Could not be doing this without you guys. But yeah, let's start this video up with a game against Yonkis himself. Anyways, we'll talk a little bit about the team. You may have seen this team already before on my channel, Lickitung, Sirfetch'd, Medicham, or you may have seen it featured on Zionic's channel. Another battler played some sets within Zionic, featured these sets as well. So honestly, not that uncommon of a team. If you've played against it in GBL, it's probably someone on the Canadian Gym Breakers team. Everyone decided to take it up, but this team is really good, and it was good when I made it, but I can't take all the credit. Niantic added Walrein. Guess what? This team destroys Walrein. All three Pokemon beat it, and then Niantic buffed Registeel. And guess what? The backline are two of the only Pokemon, well, Sirfetch'd beats it cleanly, at least as long as you spend one shield. But Medicham does have some more problems, but I mean, as far as Registeel counters go, these are some pretty solid counters. So this team has unintentionally adapted extremely well to the meta and might be in its strongest stage yet. So I actually go on what I think is a 13-game lossless streak, and that's why I'm showing this one Yonkis game out of order. This was the last game of the set, and coincidentally was the first game of the streak. I do also leave out a couple sets. There was some really weird lag. I had to cut out 2 sets in a row, but they were washes. It's not like you won't see the rating jump around. I ended at the exact same rating that I started at with the next set. So anyways, let's get into the games. This is an ABB team double fighter with Lickitung. We have a Trevenant lead here. Oh, I think I remember this game. Trevenant, you should throw Seed Bomb, but for some reason I think maybe they forgot Lickitung was a normal type. Not a mistake you usually see in the 3200s, 3300s. Anyways, this team actually took me up a ton of points. I want to say 300 points. No, 200 points. No, 300 points in 2 days. So I finished my push. I can talk about that later too. Anyways, let me get focused. We got Azumarill. Sirfetch'd is the swap into Azumarill here just because I want to save the Lickitung for the Trevenant. The other reason I bring Sirfetch'd in here, well, obviously Medicham is not the play, but Sirfetch'd has the ability to build up that energy on Azu, and I didn't point it out this time, but I'll point it out more in the future. So you can see how I'm coming out of this matchup with enough energy to threaten a shield with a Night Slash. And almost a second shield with a Night Slash. Anyways, they swap into their Drapion in the back, and this is starting to look like not a triple hard counter team, but I have 3 good checks for what they have, and all of my Pokemon bring energy into the next matchup that threatens the next Pokemon. So in this case, Drapion versus Medicham, as long as they don't get the debuff, and you shield the first one or something like that, it's a pretty comfortable matchup. You can see I take 2 crunches, no big deal. Even if they get the debuff here, I'm going to be able to take them out. They actually let the Drapion go down, which is a smart play. Now my Lickitung, kind of defenseless against this, or not defenseless, it's got shields, the opposite of defenseless, but the Trevenant has more energy than I should have let it get away with. I could have even let the Medicham go down to the Drapion. That probably would have been the more solid play. Anyways, we have a Venusaur lead. This is a bit of a tricky lead, but luckily it's not that common anymore. Venusaur into Lickitung is one of those matchups where I might actually shield my Lickitung in the lead and stay in, because a lot of the time what's in the back is double steal. And if it's not double steal, it's probably Sableye plus a steal. And either way, you have some pretty good matchups in the back, especially if you're able to get shield. This Venusaur player lets me get to the second body slam before them. This shouldn't happen. If they throw right away, they should get that off. Instead, they farm up a little bit more, throw the Frenzy Plant, and I'm going to come in with the Sirfetch'd and just get this energy lead. The reason I come in with the Sirfetch'd here is because in case there is a Sableye in the back, they are going to bring the Sableye into the Sirfetch'd, and that's very important. If they knew the team, they would bring the G-Fisk into the Sirfetch'd, as crazy as that sounds, because they would need to save the Sableye for the Medicham in the back. But instead, I'm going to be able to deal some heavy damage. Somehow Sableye beats Sirfetch'd and CMP. Not really sure how that one works. but gonna farm up more. Didn't actually CMP me, so I must have lagged a turn or something. Throw the Leaf Blade, and then in comes Stunfisk. This is the team that very common back in the day, less common now, but still a very solid team. And I bring in the Medicham, and it's kind of just all over at this point. Don't need Power Up Punch to take out the G-Fisk. And Sirfetch'd is healthy enough to deal some significant damage if this G-Fisk were to take out the Medicham anyways. Yeah, another win here in the 13 in a row, no losses. We have Altaria lead into Lickitung. This one's a bit tricky too. This is another one where you kind of have to stay in, and it's another one where I have debated shielding in the past. If I wanted switch, Lickitung does win the one shield, but it doesn't win the zeros. But what will happen here is, even though Altaria is going to win the zeros barely, it can't really keep that much energy, and it's in range for farm down. So if they got something like a Sableye in the back, then Sirfetch'd can get a farm on this Altaria, and then Sableye has to come into a loaded Sirfetch'd, which is not really the place that Sableye wants to be. So Sky Attack going to come through, take out the Lickitung, and then exactly. So here's the Sableye, and this is a very important matchup. I've talked about this a lot in my past video, but the most important matchup to know is Sirfetch'd versus Sableye. Now, because a lot of the times you're going to switch into Sirfetch'd, being an ABB team, they're going to bring in the Sableye because they think it's a counter. But here's the thing. It's not really a counter. Sirfetch'd wins the 2 shield against Sableye most of the time. Sometimes I found Sirfetch'd does lose to the Sableye, but it is generally... I don't know why. I think it's when I swap in their lead has a heavy hitting fast move. And that might be enough, because look, my Sirfetch'd is very low HP here, so if I swapped into a Pokemon like a Vigoroth or something, then that damage might be enough to lose that subsequent switch matchup. Anyways, they've got a Ferrothorn in the back, so Medicham looks pretty comfortable in this matchup. But this matchup of the Zero Shield is not as comfortable as you might think. Power Whip is a 2-shot here. And I go for the extra move, because I know that they'll win CMP anyways. They throw the Power Whip. Almost a 2-shot, not quite, but they make a great switch into the Altaria. This is a bit scary for my Medicham now, because I'm going to need to be able to take out that Ferrothorn, and Medicham just is able to do it. Don't have to go back into the Sirfetch'd. If they had Mirror Shot there, that would be, it would be very, very close, that's for sure. Trevenant lead, you love to see this in the lead. And they come with the Stunfisk, so I'm going to come in right away with the Sirfetch'd. This is a bit of a tough one, because they always bait. Well, not always, most of the time they bait. You shield it, and just make sure you're building up. And I throw the Leaf Blade here, because I wasn't quite sure if Night Slash would do enough. And it's also nice to kind of save that move, the secondary move. So sometimes Night Slash will be enough, and you'll be like, why is he not throwing Night Slash? But it's because if you reveal Night Slash, then they know you don't have Brave Bird. So it is a little bit of a mind game. It's something you can think about while playing, but I definitely would not prioritize that over mechanics or counting moves or anything like that. Anyways, we're going to go for the CMP time on Trevenant. They almost always throw on CMP. It's great. So waste a bunch of energy. They actually undercharge that, I believe. So smart play by them. But the damage is done. Lickitung comes in, and in comes Registeel. Registeel versus Medicham in the 1 shield is honestly closer than you might think. So I'm a bit surprised they left, because I don't have Power Up Punch, so you have to throw Psychics at the Registeel. So it's a bit questionable. But the counters do add up. Lickitung lead, or sorry, that's me. Swampert lead, gonna swap right into Sirfetch'd, and this is a pretty tough scenario. Generally, I'm hoping they switch out, because you have to shield here. But they do switch, in this case, into Frostlass, and this is another important matchup. This is very similar to the Sableye matchup, where you actually win this in the 2 shield. They don't shield the first one, so I'm gonna throw another Night Slash, just to bring shields even, because they're pretty much out of move. They're going to throw another move, and at this point, I really have to think about if I want switch or not. It's not like winning switch is a big deal versus a Swampert lead here. In fact, getting some of this extra energy on Lickitung could really help. I really just need a Body Slam to hit this Swampert so I can counter it down. But I do go up to the Power Whip. I know I can tank a Hydro Cannon, no problem. I just want to threaten this Swampert and give my Medicham a decent chance with a shield remaining against whatever's in the back. So Medicham comes in. Swampert doesn't quite get to the move, and it's Walrein, and you love to see it. This happens a lot. If they don't bring out a third Pokemon for whatever reason, a lot of the time it's just Walrein. They actually don't shield there, which is a smart play by them because their only win condition is if I bait, and I don't because I am not a masturbator. So we throw the move right away, and that's a 5-0, ladies and gentlemen. And I feel like I got quite a few 5-0s with that team, or with this team, just in general, not in this run. Cofagrigus lead, this is a great lead too. All the ghost leads are great except for Sableye, and they come in with Lapras. I decided to come in with the Medicham because I felt like this had a safer matchup. I thought it was a Walrein, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, just because of the typing. So I come in with the Medicham. We're gonna throw the Psychic right away. I just want to take this thing out. I don't want to have to spend a shield on a Surf. I don't have to play the bait game. And the problem is, in comes Cofagrigus to farm all the way down. This is kind of the advantage of swapping Sirfetch'd into the Lapras instead. You can threaten this Cofagrigus with Night Slashes that deal quite a bit of damage, but obviously this Cofagrigus isn't going to shield anything. It's just going to farm all the way down, and Lickitung is going to have to tank these Psychics. It's not an Obstagoon that completely walls Cofagrigus. It does take a little bit of damage, but I see them swap into the Bastiodon in the top right corner, and that's why I press my button right away. Sirfetch'd absolutely dominates Bastiodon. I'm going to throw the Leaf Blade here. I don't need to. Throwing the Leaf Blade was not a good play, but I don't need to shield this, so we're not going to shield. Flamethrower does not take you out. And the shields are better served for Lickitung anyways. Going to throw the Night Slash. Deal some significant damage. Unless they shield, of course. And the lag slash overtap prevents me from getting the Night Slash off, but luckily Lickitung versus Cofagrigus is quite a good matchup. Honestly, actually, this Cofagrigus is dealing more damage than I expected, so this game is looking pretty close. I'm going up to 2 Body Slams. We're going to Body Slam this Ghost. It's going to deal just enough damage. That Lick should be able to finish it off. A little bit of lag there, but it looks like still able to get it off, and then the Licks, the one-turn move, is able to come through before they're able to react. So yet another win. I believe that's 7 in a row. Nidoqueen lead. This is a tough one, so let's pay attention here. Shadow Nidoqueen, pretty tough lead. You don't really want your backline to see this, so once again, we're staying in with the Lickitung. But Nidoqueen does win this in the 1 shield. So that's why we're playing it the 0 shield. We're going to force a shield from this Nidoqueen. They spend it right away. A lot of the time they'll let the first one through and then spend it on the second one. Other way, it's okay. If your Lickitung's IVs are good enough, you can survive that Poison Fang and get to the next move. In fact, I even have a little bit of extra HP. I could have survived another Poison Fang, but yeah. So they get a little bit of extra farm there. I'm going to come in with the Medicham here, just because you can tank that Poison Fang and not feel too bad about it. The problem is you're going to have to tank another Poison Fang. And you're going to have to feel kind of bad about that one too. They throw on CMP, but I don't throw my move because I want to get the full farm down here. I'm going to swap to Sirfetch'd. And somehow I've taken 3 poison jabs worth of energy, or damage. Kind of crazy. And in comes Azu. So the fact they're bringing Azu to Sirfetch'd means I think they've got something pretty weak in the back. So I'm hoping it's a Bastiodon, probably a G-Fisk. Going to shield up whatever is coming from this Azu. And this is where I start to count moves. So we're going to build up until right before. So that's 7 counters is equal to 5 bubbles. That's when they're at their next move. You can see how much energy I have now. So I throw this, and I have an absolute boatload of energy to throw at this Lickitung. And because I farmed up so much, this is actually going to allow me to get a second Leaf Blade off, which is honestly pretty game deciding here. They shield up, and I'm going to swap out. I don't want to get farmed down by this Lickitung. I don't want it to get to 2 Body Slams. I'm going to throw the Psychic, and it's a race to the finish. Medicham is going to win in this case. Lickitung versus Medicham is a very close matchup in the 0 shield. Lickitung actually wins, I think, unless Medicham is running Dynamic Punch or Power Up Punch or some fighting move. Next battle up against physically focused Patreon supporter. Huge shout out. And we have Lickitung versus Medicham. I just talked about it. Here we go. So a lot of the times, and by a lot of the time I mean almost every time, they will stay in the Lickitung versus Medicham matchup. And this is exactly what you want. In this case, my opponent is smart enough to switch out to draw out some of my fighters here, and is Drapion. So Drapion versus Medicham, like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty comfortable. Don't have to shield anything. these counters just start adding up. The more shields you spend, the better the matchup gets as well. So just let those crunches through. If there's a debuff, like here, then it gets a little bit dicey if they start shielding. That's why I throw this Ice Punch right away. I start to just... I don't want to shield, and I want to have as little HP as possible, such that this Medicham can just take out my Medicham. So Ice Punch, and Lickitung comes back into the Medicham. Most people don't swap Lickitungs into Medichams. I'm not going to shield here. Psychic deals a lot, but not quite enough to take out. And getting this Body Slam off is very important. They will probably be inclined not to shield it. But unfortunately for them, it is the Bastiodon in the back. And Sirfetch'd absolutely dominates Bastiodon. No need to play that one out, that's for sure. I can't even count how many wins in a row that is. I don't even remember. Anyways, we have an Escavalier lead, very spicy, but honestly a pretty good core breaker, especially with Registeel out there. And this is the important matchup that I was talking about earlier. We have Sableye into Sirfetch'd. You're going to see this a lot. You want to throw before they start throwing moves so that you can kind of keep up with shields and force them to make decisions first. So I'm going to get 2 Leaf Blades off. At this point, I could just let my Sirfetch'd go down. I've dealt a ton of damage to the Sableye. I've taken shield advantage. And my Medicham has a great matchup versus Escavalier with shields up. And they don't quite get to the move. So I'm going to throw this Body Slam. I think it was to stall the clock. I didn't quite see. But going to go right into that Medicham. And they have the Skuntank in the back. So very spicy team for my opponent. I like it. I like it a lot. But Medicham does do quite good against Skuntank. The Poison Jabs add up. And unfortunately I do have to shield the first one, even though I know it's a crunch and it could debuff. But I think I got pretty lucky with the crunch debuffs in this video. Usually I feel like crunch is like 80%, when in reality it's 30. In this video I feel like I got away with murder here. I got highway robbery. I think like 20% of crunches, maybe, even if that debuffed me. And they actually go for the Mega Horn. But I'm going to shield that one regardless. Just in case. Just in case. Can never be too careful when you're making your push. I play very safe when I'm making my push normally. Sableye lead. This one is very tough. I lost the majority of my losses were Sableye leads. And you would think it's good because Sableye versus Lickitung is a Lickitung favored matchup. But it's just something about what's in the back with these teams that you just run into some trouble. So I'm going to throw the Body Slam here. And I'm going to soar up to another Body Slam, swap out into my Medicham, and just throw this Ice Punch. The reason I throw the Body Slam is so that Ice Punch KOs and I don't have to worry about going to the Psychic. And I grab the shield off the Venusaur. The problem is they're going to beat me to the second move here. But how much do I truly care about switch advantage here? I have my Sirfetch'd for the Sableye as well, especially with the shield advantage. They throw right away, so I don't feel like I'm missing out on any energy. And I can just come in with the Sirfetch'd. Okay, interesting play by the protagonist here. I come in with the Lickitung. Grab the last shield. They really care about this Venusaur. I think... It turns out that was actually a good play because they thought I had no answer for it. And then in comes Azumarill. So game is still a little bit tricky. These bubbles really start to add up in terms of damage. And not to mention, there's a Sableye in the back that the Shadow Claws are going to add up. But Bubble does less damage than Shadow Claw, so my goal here is to build up as much energy as I can so that I can just take this Sableye out with some moves. I probably could have farmed up a little bit more, but I lost count and got scared. And then in comes the Venusaur. I throw before... Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure on their energy either. So I throw before, and now I have to take down the Sableye. Oh! Throw right at the end there. I was hoping to get to 2 moves, but not going to quite get there. We're going to tie a game, so that's why I didn't put 13-game win streak in the title. There's a tie game here. This is a 4-1 in 1 set, but 4-1 in 1 sets... Or sorry, 4-0 in 1 sets, they give you a ton of points. It's almost a 5-0. Anyways, cool kid, another leaderboard, perennial player. We're playing a lot of fantastic players. Trevenant into Registeel. I'll show you exactly how this matchup goes. If you swap fast enough, so you see that Pure Steel come in, go straight into the Sirfetch'd. I get the boost. So I'm going to shield up whatever they get, or they throw here, and then I'm just going to farm down. If you don't get the boost, I think technically you can farm down, but it's really dependent on how fast you switch. And I think we'll see that again in a later register. Maybe. I don't know if if it made the video. Either way, the boosted Night Slash is enough to take out the Trevenant, but the Zap Cannon debuff prevents this Trevenant from going down. I'm going to no-shield my Sirfetch'd. I am not going to fall for the sunken cost fallacy here. You've done your job. We're going to let that Lickitung go and clean up the Trevenant, but it is a Scrafty in the back, and Medicham's going to be able to very cleanly take care of that Scrafty. So triple hard counter team, pretty tough to outplay that one, especially when I get the boost. Hypno lead, this is great because in the back is normally something that's weak to fighting, right? That's the main reason to use Hypno. In this case, going to shield up. If they actually throw the Earthquake, which they don't, ever, then you can farm G-Fisk all the way down. And the game is essentially over at that point. Trading one shield for full energy, oh man. Especially because Sirfetch'd can translate this energy into huge damage against most of the Pokemon that counter it. So Hypno, for example, is going to get absolutely slapped by these Night Slashes. Going to make it to a second Night Slash, which is going to either get my shield back or take this Hypno out. We'll come back in with the Lickitung. In comes the Scrafty in the back. Yeah, Hypno almost always comes with Scrafty. It's just what is the other Pokemon that's with the Scrafty. Scrafty versus Medicham. Don't shield the first one. In fact, don't shield any of them unless you really have to. I farm up until they're getting to their next move, throw the Ice Punch, and at this point I would be comfortable with letting my Medicham go down if they were to throw a foul play here, which I don't think would take me out anyways, but they're just going to concede as Lickitung versus Hypno with a shield up. Doesn't matter if they have Focus Blast. This next game, we have a Sirfetch'd lead. Going to swap into my own Sirfetch'd. Problem is, if the switch takes a turn, then this Sirfetch'd is going to get to a move before my Sirfetch'd. They throw the Night Slash. I was thinking about no-shielding it too, and I throw my own Night Slash because at this point, Night Slash will KO. It's not a bait, but they get the move sneak, so they're going to be able to win switch and shields, and they have a move. So it's a very tough situation. I'm going to come back in with my Lickitung here. Just tank the move. I feel like Lickitung can tank that move a little bit better than Medicham can, and see what they have in the back. In comes Galarian Stunfisk. My goal here is to tank a move from this Stunfisk because I don't want to burden my Medicham. My Medicham kind of has to carry me to the end here. And because they didn't swap anything to Sirfetch'd, I think it's likely that they might be weak to fighting in the back. So I swap my Medicham, and no, it's an Azumarill. That's not weak to fighting at all. But you can see how the Medicham versus Azumarill matchup plays out if you throw with good timing. I'm going to let the first one through just in case they bait. This will play rough. But Medicham in the one shield actually beats Azumarill if your Medicham is XL enough. So my Medicham is very XL. In fact, I have to best buddy it, which is kind of annoying. But I'm going to throw with good timing here. I'm going to get to the Psychic. And then it's a race to that final move. So I'm going to shield up. Sorry, they haven't thrown their second last move yet. Shield up the Ice Beam. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they bait or not. This matchup is always the same. You end with a shred of HP. Psychic takes out the Azu, but there's not enough HP to take out this this G-Fisk. This G-Fisk is just kind of gonna run rampant here. Didn't want to get farmed down, but not too much I could do to prevent that. And that's it. That is the end of the lossless streak at 13, I believe. Very unfortunate. Anyways, Shadow Nidoqueen versus Lickitung. Let's take a look at this matchup again. See if it plays out the exact same way. Most players, they'll throw a Poison Fang right away, because if they build up to Earth Power, they're almost certainly going to throw it. But they swap out to their own Lickitung. And this is a matchup for Sirfetch'd. I'm going to throw the Leaf Blade right away. I want to get it off before the Body Slam because I want to see what they're doing. If they shield, then I'll shield this. If they don't shield this, then I don't think I have to shield it. But I was scared. I need to look up that matchup again. But I think you do love a Body Slam and you can farm down. At least the Primate versus Lickitung, Lickitung matchup you can. And I think Sirfetch'd has very similar stats. Anyways, the Nidoqueen comes in. And shielding here wasn't bad because Sirfetch'd honestly does quite a bit of damage to Nidoqueen as well. And Sirfetch'd able to grab 2 shields. Unfortunately, this Nidoqueen has quite a bit of energy. We're going to swap into the Scrafty in the back though, which is absolutely ideal here. I'm going to build up to 2 Ice Punches and throw 1. But my opponent, because they swapped fast, actually get to 2 foul plays before I get to these Ice Punches. And it's tough. I really don't want to shield there because this Nidoqueen, like, if they have a move, they're going to win CMP and be able to take out my Medicham, which is not the case. So I miscounted, but that's okay. Have the Ice Punch for this Nidoqueen, but it's not quite enough. This Shadow Nidoqueen, a little bit tanky. A little bit tanky, but Lickitung should be able to take out this Nidoqueen now. It's in Body Slam range, it's probably in Lick Down range as well. So another Nidoqueen lead taken down. It's a lead that generally has given a lot of players that I've been coaching troubles with this team. So hopefully these two examples help. And I know it's not always the same stuff in the back. Bastiodon lead, this is not great. So I'm going to swap out. And there's the Sableye. Going to throw this Leaf Blade. I want to see what they want to do here. Are they going to shield? Are they not? If I can win switch, I absolutely want to. Because of the Bastiodon. Bastiodon versus Lickitung is miserable. And Medicham versus Bastiodon is miserably the other way around. So I'm going to throw another move. Because I want to force them to shield. Otherwise they get to another foul play. And they take a 2-0 shield advantage. But I will shield this move. Because switch is paramount in this game. And this is, like I said, this is the matchup that you should know. You should know this matchup. If you're going to play this team. It's the most important one. Bastiodon's going to come back in, which is pretty brave. Bringing Bastiodon to Sirfetch'd, but is a smart play. Sirfetch'd is just one hit away. And I'm going to be able to bring the Medicham here. In comes the Trevenant, and that's all she wrote. Trevenant versus Lickitung. We can see how this matchup plays out. Trevenant does have a shield advantage here. But these Seed Bombs, they don't really do that much damage. Seed Bomb is kind of a weak move. And these Shadow Claws are resisted. So you can see the damage from Trevenant is barely keeping pace with my Lickitung. I go for the bait here because they still have a shield remaining. And they don't shield it, so that's a worst case scenario. But really, I just need to deal Body Slam damage. That's all that needs to happen here. I'm just going to keep throwing Body Slams. In fact, I thought I CMP tie there, but they get the move through. And yep, they don't shield that one either. And they swap into the Medicham, or sorry, the Bastiodon, the Medicham food. And yeah, don't have to shield any of this. This is just a pure counter down. You can end this with 100 energy. You'd end it with even more if you could. But yeah, the Trevenant going to come back in, and 2 Ice Punches is going to be enough to take it out from here. No problem. Gosh, thinking every time. Oh yeah, so you may have heard me complain about being unable to sneak moves. This is an aside. I fixed my issue. Turns out my Wi-Fi, I don't know if it just got lower quality or something like that, but I turned off my Wi-Fi and I'm finally able to sneak moves at a regular rate again. Very, very weird, but I guess if you guys are having the same issue as me, maybe that'll help solve it. Alright, Sableye versus Lickitung. Like I said, this is the source of many of my losses here. I've started thinking about baiting here. I think every single time the Sableye has shielded it. In like the 5 or 6 Sableye leads I've played, they've all shielded Power Whip. So the problem is Nidoqueen comes in. Gonna go for the Body Slam here. I don't really have a great Nidoqueen answer. And so I'm gonna go into my Medicham. And the reason I go to Medicham is because Medicham has a terrible matchup versus Sableye. And I kind of feel bad throwing this Ice Punch. You have to throw it, because otherwise they're going to get the Poison Fang off. But you're just farm. You're just farm for the Sableye. So at this point, my Lickitung, he knows his job. He's the 3rd shield. We're going to come in, threaten the Sableye with a Power Whip. And we're far away. Yeah, there's no way I was ever going to throw that. So they take out the Lickitung, and at this point, it's farm on for the Sirfetch'd. Sirfetch'd putting on his best rural Albertan cosplay here, just trying to go for the full farm here. No, just kidding. He abandons that idea pretty quick. And honestly, I got saved by the boost here. Not gonna lie, Walrein versus Sirfetch'd in the 1 shield, kind of sketchy. Because they outpace you to move. So, and I threw right away. So it was all going to depend on a sneak there. They played that really well, and unfortunately for them, I just boosted. All right, another Sableye lead, and they swap out right away into Azumarill. I swap slow. That was a mistake. If you see an Azumarill come in, right away going to the Sirfetch'd. But because I stay in for a while, I now know I have to throw this Power Whip and tank a move. So luckily they throw their move, and it is a play rough. So Lickitung's still kind of healthy. I didn't throw on CMP because I want to get more farm, so I accept the fact that I'm going to shield once, and we're going to throw 7 more counters. And look at that energy. Sorry, I only throw 6 because I go for the CMP just in case I miscounted by 1. Because I don't think they'll shield. And then in comes the Sableye. And look at this energy. They might have 2 shields, but those 2 shields are going to go fast if they want to keep their Sableye alive here. First Leaf Blade they let through, deals 50%. Second Leaf Blade they have to shield. And if they try and farm, guess what? Next shield is gone too. So it's all about taking advantage of that Azumarill. It's like Shiftry versus Azumarill. Every time you trade shields because you outpace them, you gain more of an energy advantage. So every time I see an Azumarill, I love playing the 2 shield. Because by the end of that 2 shield, sure, maybe they've only spent 1 shield. But I've got 2 moves coming out of that matchup, and I can grab those right back. And those shields are going to come in very handy here. Medicham versus Medicham. This matchup is dead even, unsurprisingly. But with a shield, you completely flip the matchup. And in this case, even though it's only an Ice Punch or Power Up Punch, doesn't really matter because I'm going to get to this Ice Punch first. Actually farm up a little bit more, but yeah, because I want to be able to take this Sableye out with an Ice Punch before it can farm me down. So forcing them to throw a move is also a win here because Lickitung should be able to get to a Body Slam now that this Sableye's energy dry. But my opponent did play it very well. They unfortunately did have to throw the move. They were counting my Medicham, so very well played. This next game, the 3300s, we have a Deoxys Defense lead. This is another one where you want to stay in with the Lickitung. Normally, Deoxys Defense is used as a lead for Pokemon that are weak to fighting in the back, so it's perfect. And in comes the Registeel, just as predicted. A little bit of a slower swap from me this time, but I do throw the Night Slash right away. They get to moves at around 8 counters. So I sneak, but the Zap Cannon is going to debuff me. And then I should be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would be very close, but I think I do have to throw this move. Yeah, I think you have to throw this move, unfortunately. I wasn't quite sure when I was playing it. I'm like, did I screw that up? I did swap a little bit slow, too. So maybe you get those counters in before you get debuffed. It'll work out. But speak of the devil, that debuff is gone. I decided to no-shield, though. You can't fall victim to Sunken Cause Fallacy. If you shield because you're boosted, that's not a good shield. Anyways, Walrein in the back. So like I said, Deoxys usually is a lead for Pokemon that are weak to fighting in the back, and that's exactly what we see here. Deoxys, Registeel Walrein in the back. And yeah, Walrein versus Medicham. Pretty comfortable matchup. I'm gonna shield up an Icicle Spear here and just try and farm this thing down. And then Deoxys can come in, but the Deoxys is not healthy enough to take out both a Lickitung and a Medicham here, especially in that order. If it could counter down the Lickitung and then Psycho Boost the Medicham, maybe it has a chance, but with Medicham in there first, you can't really counter down a Medicham. Alright, Walrein lead, this is what you want to see. I used to stay in to see if they'd switch out, but they normally don't, and we're going to swap into the Sirfetch'd. In comes the Deoxys, so looks like a reverse version. It's a backwards day of the last team. Oh, and here we go, getting another boost. This Deoxys doesn't want to debuff itself too early because then Lickitung is going to have its way with it. But they let my Sirfetch'd grab a shield here. Not going to shield my Sirfetch'd. If they want to throw the Thunderbolt and waste all the energy, that's fine. If they want to debuff themselves, also fine. The matchup is not too bad. I'm going to come with the Lickitung, and this is just free real estate, free farm. Lickitung just go to town on this orange colored popsicle. Melt in your mouth right there. And yeah, these Psycho Boosts, they don't do anything. Look how much damage that does. And now Lickitung has a ton of energy that it can use to threaten Walrein. So that's why this team is so good against Walrein, because every Pokemon just threatens it. Yeah. Ooh. A little bit of an issue here, though. We do deal a ton of damage to that Walrein, but Medicham versus Sableye, not ideal. They let through that first Ice Punch. I think being a bit scared of the Power Up Punch. I'm going to let my Medicham go here because I think I can still make it to that next Ice Punch and threaten that last shield potentially, but they actually don't shield. So Diamond Hands for my opponent, a very smart play. They actually get to the foul play and I shield up here, and this is a very tough situation. This looks like a loss because what's going to happen is they still have a shield, so I have to get to 2 moves, but if they get to 3 Icicle Spears, I lose. But my only win condition, you can see why I hesitate so much, is I shield an Earthquake. The only way I can possibly win this game is if they threw Earthquake. If they just throw Icicle Spears, I would lose the game for sure. Because one Earthquake deals less damage than 2 Icicle Spears, and it's the same amount of energy. But because I shield the Earthquake, I essentially get the value of 2 shields for the price of 1 there. So, shielding that was definitely necessary. A lot of times I'd like to call the bait, but in that case, it was necessary to shield an Earthquake there to win the game. Alright, Swampert. Lead. I swap into the Sirfetch'd here, and this is how you don't want to have a Swampert lead played against you. So, I decide to no-shield this one, and Hydro Cannon takes you out. Today I learned I really thought I would live by a little, but that is not the case. Either way, I've burned down the switch timer enough. The fact that they did not switch a counter into Sirfetch'd makes me think maybe they don't have a Skarmory. Maybe they don't have an answer to fighting. Maybe it's a weird Swampert team. So I come back with the Lickitung and hope that Medicham can sweep. Hopefully it's like Swampert. No, it's Sableye. This player knew the team. They knew that Sirfetch'd beats Sableye in the 2-shield, and they kept their Sableye in the back. Very impressive play from my opponent here. Very good team reading, at the very least. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's a very impressive play, but it's very impressive team reading from my opponent. And yeah, it's a bit too tough to play out of this situation. You need like a 2-shield advantage to take out this Sableye with Medicham. It's just not a good matchup. It's not a good matchup at all. You can't hit it with Psychic or anything. Anyways, the Sableye is going to be able to just clean up that Medicham and then Skuntank versus Lickitung at this HP. Yeah, not even going to bother throwing my move. Anyways, that is the climb. This is the end of season climb, and ending at 3-4, 2-4. Could I have pushed higher? I really think I could have. I honestly shot up in 2 days, 300 points. I have almost no doubts that I could have pushed higher, but did I want to risk it on a very inconsistent game? I had a bug, for example, where it kicked me out of the game right at the beginning. Like, it didn't close my game, but then when I went back into the battle was still going. It just seems silly to me to risk my streak. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't talk about my streak as well. So, if I finish on the leaderboard this season, which, unless there's some unprecedented gains on the leaderboard, it's likely going to happen. This will be the 10th season in a row, so all 10 seasons I'll have finished on the leaderboard, and I think there's only a handful of players, I feel, and literal handful, I mean less than 5 players who will have finished on the leaderboard in all 10 seasons, and I think I'll do a recap video so you guys can kind of see how the meta has changed over those 10 seasons. But yeah, honestly, very, very happy. I don't want to jinx it or anything, unless I feel like it would be impossible for the leaderboard to move up that much, but very happy to have kept this streak alive. This streak has been a source of probably the biggest stresses in my life. Honestly, the stress to kind of perform when the game isn't working very well is it's tough, but I guess I'm preaching to the choir here. You guys all play and deal with the same issues and maybe even more issues than what I deal with too. But yeah, look forward to that video, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see who I'll be accompanied by. It looks like Auburn and Dunebug will be there, but I don't know if there's going to be too many other players who will have finished every season on the leaderboard. We'll see. Anyways, thank you so much if you made it this far. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys all coming with me on this 10 season long journey. It's been a hell of a ride. Thanks for watching.